Yo, what's going on, guys? Alright, we're gonna do a presidential tier list. Disclaimer, by the way. I am Republican, and so then I'm gonna be nice that I prefer Republican presidents over Democratic presidents. But this is subjective. This is my own opinion. Of course, someone's gonna disagree. There's 44 people, 45 presidents, 44 people because of Grover Cleveland. So of course we're gonna disagree. But yeah, let's be civil about it. Anyways, yeah. So the first president in the United States history, George Washington, easily as father of America, in my opinion. He created America. I mean, he is named the founding father, but an amazing president. He didn't do anything bad. To be honest, he was unanimously elected twice, so obviously he was very popular and people liked him. Second president, John Adams. I don't like how he arrested people who talked trash about him. That really goes up against the First Amendment, but also he wasn't very popular. I mean, because when he ran for re-election, he came in third place against Aaron Burr and the third American president, Thomas Jefferson. Love Thomas Jefferson, wrote the Declaration of Independence, a really smart guy. He didn't do anything wrong in his presidency. He was very popular. Yeah, he didn't do anything wrong, really, in my opinion. James Madison. The fourth U.S. president is James Madison. Where is James Madison? There is A. The reason I say A is because I think he's a really good president, but I don't think he should have gone to war in 1812. I feel like it was a pointless war. But he showed really good leadership. But yeah, that's the only reason why he's an A. It's just because I'm not the biggest fan of the reason why of War of 1812. James Monroe, I'll say A too. I don't really say S. He was very popular. The era of good feelings after the War of 1812. Let's face it, he was unanimously selected, except by one vote, and that's because Henry Clay gave it to who would become the sixth U.S. president. Yeah, era of good feelings, really popular. The economy was doing pretty good. I don't think the economy was doing too well under Madison during the War of 1812, but that also plays into the War of 1812. Now, sixth U.S. president. The sixth U.S. president is John Quincy Adams. See, I think he was better than his father. He supposedly cheated for him to win the election of 1824 against Andrew Jackson. He's the only president in U.S. history to lose the popular vote and the electoral vote and still win president. Yeah, I don't like how he signed the tariff. Jackson supporters called it the tariff of abomination. For reasons because the South economy just went into tank. He's just like his father. He really cares more for the North and the richer people. And then when he tried to get re-election, he got destroyed by our seventh U.S. president, and that is Andrew Jackson. I put him at B. Andrew Jackson is an amazing war general of 1812 with the Battle of New Orleans. He was an amazing military man. He was very popular. The economy was going good, unlike, the eighth president. But I hate the Trail of Tears. I just don't like the Trail of Tears at all. 35,000 Native Americans or Native Americans. That's just awful by him to do that. But yeah, popular by his people, good economy, so far good president, and that cannot be said about the eighth president or his vice president for the second term, Marvin Van Buren. Marvin Van Buren was part and responsible for the Panic of 1837, which people, the American people, he was extremely unpopular because of the Panic of 1837. To be honest, he wouldn't have won the election if it wasn't for the Whigs nominating like 5 people for the nomination instead of just one person. I mean, but the Whigs did not make that mistake again, and they ended up winning. Yeah, just not a good president. Ninth is the I can't put him at F because he wasn't a terrible president, but he wasn't a good president. William Henry Harrison served the shortest tenure in office. Also, was the first president to ever die in office, and we just didn't. And I mean, he seemed potentially like a good president because he didn't like slavery, but I can't really say he's good or bad because he died 1 month into office, like 32, 33 days. And so then the first ever vice president to become president was John Tyler. Terrible president. The annexation of Texas, I mean, we've been doing this. I mean, everyone in the world has been doing this for hundreds, thousands, and thousands of years. I mean, in order to gain you more land and religion and stuff like that, you had to go to war back then. I mean, that's how Genghis Khan built an empire and, etc. But I feel like the U.S. is too good for that. I'd rather have a country that is amazing than big. But, I mean, I'm alright at that. But the main reason why I put him at D is I he's a terrible president is because he's a disgrace to his party. He was a Whig, but I mean, he mostly had Democratic views and when doing presidency, and he even supported the Democrat nominee in the next election. Whigs and Democrats just didn't want to support him in the election of 1844. Yeah, election of 1844. Yeah, just an awful president. Next president, or the 11th president, is James K. Polk. B. I like James K. Polk. I mean, I don't like how you really battled Mexico with Spanish into a war for California again, but I'll give him the benefit of doubt, just like I did to John Tyler. I did like how he got Oregon from Britain without going to war. And he overall succeeded in every single campaign goal that he was trying to do. I mean, he wanted bigger land and stuff like that. And he got nominated because Manifest Destiny against Henry Clay back in 1844. I mean, the American people elected him, so obviously they wanted his electoral goals, and he did all of them. And so overall, solid president. Next up is the 12th president back in 1848, and that is Zachary Taylor. See, he died a year into office. I mean, he seemed like he was going to be an okay president, because he didn't like slavery, and he knew the tensions between North and South were getting heavier and heavier. But again, he died early into office, a year into office. I mean, so yeah. So I can't really say he's a good or bad president, but he definitely showed signs of a good president. Also, he wasn't really into politics. The only reason why he got elected is because he was a good general in the Mexican-American War. So 13th president, Millard Fillmore, the funniest name out of the bunch. I don't like Millard Fillmore. He tried to compromise with the North and South, and he did sign the Compromise of 1850, but that was mainly Henry Clay. The reason why that got passed because mainly Henry Clay, but I do give him some credit because he did sign it. But he failed epically. He absolutely failed epically. He was like a parent and trying to separate two kids from fighting, but he just gets knocked out, and so then they keep on fighting. Like he failed epically in doing that, and tensions between North and South gained even more because of Millard Fillmore. But he is better than our next president, terrible president Franklin Pierce, the 14th president. The Kansas and Nebraska Act is absolutely terrible. He was a dull face. So he was a northerner with southern views, so he did like slavery. Kansas and Nebraska Act was terrible. Historians did say he had a promising first month into office, but the rest of it was terrible. I do feel bad for him because none of his children lived past, childhood was sucked, and a couple months before going to office, his son did get decapitated in a train incident. But he was a heavy drinker, but a terrible president. But he was a better president than our next one, James Buchanan. Just an awful president. Awful president. He didn't do anything. He really didn't do anything. He didn't do anything good. All he did, he was the laziest president ever. He didn't do anything. That's like he just didn't do anything. And when he finally did something, he did something terrible, and claiming that Utah Territory was a terrorist group and tried to go to war with them. But it's just terrible president. I mean, he's one of the reasons why the Civil War happened. The main reason why the Civil War happened was because our next president got nominated or elected, and just a terrible president, laziest president. Yep, and our next president is my favorite president of all time, Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, in my opinion, is the greatest president of all time. First of all, he wanted to abolish slavery back in his first term, which was amazing, but he had courage. James Buchanan didn't want to make anyone mad. This guy, he didn't care what anyone said. He was like, you know what? I hate slavery. So yeah, and he ended up getting assassinated for that. But to be fair, it wasn't when he tried to get reelected. When he first ran for president, he was like, I don't want slavery, but I don't want to make you mad too much. I mean, he showed good leadership in the Civil War, even though so many people died. It was the bloodiest war by far. He did end that fairly quickly. I mean, it was 4 years, so it wasn't that quick, but overall, he did successfully into his goal, and that's to get the Union for the Union to win. And the South stops selling slaves until the next president. So yeah, I love just his courage and stuff like that. Yeah, the next president after Lincoln got assassinated in 1865, terrible president, Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson, he was probably my least favorite president of all time, just because he was like everything Abraham Lincoln thrived for, he just abolished. I mean, this is the reason why he was impeached. He wasn't in office by one vote. He broke the Tenure Act. Just a terrible president. He supported slavery. He was like, you know what, Abraham Lincoln, I support you getting rid of slavery. But not really. Alright, guys, states, you can decide to have slavery or not. And of course, the Southern states was like, yeah, of course, slaves. Okay, come here. Slaves, back to your owners. And it was just awful. Just an awful president. And the 18th president was Ulysses S. Grant. Ulysses S. Grant doesn't, you know what? I'll put him at B. Ulysses S. Grant, reputation as president isn't the best, and it's probably because of his scandals. Everyone supports him and admires him with his work in the Civil War as a general, and he did really good work in the general. But this is about presidents as president. I mean, his scandals, he didn't gain any benefits. I mean, he hung with the wrong people. He abolished the KKK. The economy was going good. And, the South, Reconstruction in the South was going on. But yeah, I feel bad for him. He hung around the wrong people, and his, reputation as president isn't as good. But I don't think he didn't benefit anything from, the corruption from his cabinet. But yeah, the scandals, but definitely do get him off the tier list, get him lower in the tier list, even though he didn't benefit from them. He wasn't a good president in terms of cabinet selection of cabinet members. After that, it is Rutherford Hayes. Again, most people don't know Rutherford Hayes, including me. But I do know Rutherford Hayes, but, before I started, studying presidents hard, I didn't really know who this guy was. I mean, he was nice to Samuel Tinman. I mean, he knew he should have lost the election. He was like, you know what, I'm in Reconstruction in the South, but, just because I feel bad for Samuel. The Democrats should have won. I shouldn't have won. So I'm going to end Reconstruction, which wasn't a really good idea. I mean, no one really knows what he did. So, yeah, so an average president. Again, this is going to be the era of people forget. Next up is James Garfield. He only served president for 6 months, but he had more goals than Zachary Taylor and William Henry Harrison. Okay, he was probably way smart. I mean, his character was amazing. I could care less about character. I mean, I could care less about character, but I do prefer a nice guy over a mean guy. Yeah, he was a really good president for 6 months. I mean, he tried to end the scandals, and people didn't like him for that, but he ended up getting murdered by a lunatic, and that sucks. Then Chaucer Arthur comes around, and first of all, I don't even know if he should be president, because a lot of people think that he was born in Canada. Who knows? Instead of Vermont or something like that. But again, he's forgettable. I have no idea who he did. I mean, his party liked him. The only reason why he wasn't reelected by his party is because of health issues. But he's known as the guy who wears 85 pairs of jeans and has a nice mustache. But again, he's a forgettable president. No one knows what he did. So after 1920-21 is Grover Cleveland. Now, I'm going to put Grover Cleveland at B, because he had a really good first term. And he was very popular, but he somehow lost. But he won the popular vote, so Americans liked him. The Electoral College didn't like him too much. But his second term was awful. I mean, his second term wasn't awful. It was alright. I mean, they had economy struggles. So, I debate put him at B or C, but, he did better things than all of these presidents, so I put him up there. So the next president was Benjamin Harrison, terrible president. I'm not a big fan of tariffs. I don't like how he increased tariffs. He was a clumsy president. I mean, the Wounded Knee Massacre was awful. The Wounded Knee Massacre, the capturing of Hawaii was shady. But yeah, just not, again, forgettable president. But yeah, next up, it is William McKinley, right? Yep, I think so. This guy, it's hated by Mr. B, and I like Mr. B, by the way. Check him out. Inspired me because of his foreign policy. But again, I'm not the biggest fan of his imperialist views. I feel like I'd rather have a country that's amazing than have a biggest country. And even if we had the smallest country, if it's a good country, I'm gonna cheer on. But his economy was amazing. He was very popular. But yeah, a good, an alright president. I want to put him at B, but I don't like his imperialist stuff, his foreign policy. Next up is an amazing president, Theodore Roosevelt. Love him. Now, he did have the same, whatever, doesn't matter. Now, he did have the same foreign policy as William McKinley and the imperialists, but he didn't really do that much imperialist. He didn't really do that much imperialist. I mean, he liked national parks. It was amazing character, very, very popular. I mean, when he nominated William Howard Taft, I mean, realistically, people wanted him to go. So he was extremely popular. He helped the world with increasing the budget and helping Panama with the Panama Canal. And that's really amazing today. That really helps. So thanks to him, we have the Panama Canal. Yeah, just an amazing president. I mean, when he ran for a third party back in 1912, I mean, he beat William Howard Taft. I mean, he lost the election to Woodrow Wilson, but again, for a third party, that's how popular it was. He ran as a third party called the Progressive Party and ended up coming in second place and beating Howard Taft. Speaking of Howard Taft, he's the next president. You know, he is the same person as Theodore Roosevelt, except just he's a dollar version. Theodore Roosevelt. You know, he wasn't a terrible president. Yeah, he's a dollar version of Theodore Roosevelt. In a dollar story, Theodore Roosevelt was an alright president. I mean, he wanted to be in the Supreme Court. He's mostly known for getting stuck in the bathtub, even though that may or may not be true. I mean, it's still kind of funny, but he did have a huge bathtub that could fit 3 men inside of it. Yeah, an alright president. Next up is Woodrow Wilson. Terrible president. I absolutely hate Woodrow Wilson. First of all, he's extremely racist. He hated Jews and blacks, and it was just awful. I mean, the only reason why he got reelected against Charles Pinckney was because, he said, "I kept us out of war. I'm not gonna have any warfare." But he ended up going crazy. He got us into World War One. He helped us with the Mexican Revolution, which why? I don't know why he put us into World War One. It's probably because of the Zimmerman Code, but terrible president. But most of all, that's the Espionage Act was absolutely horrific. That goes up against our First Amendment, and you have political icons like Eugene Debs don't like socialism's absolutely terrible idea, and it's failed on every single country it's worked on, like Venezuela. But Eugene Debs has the right in his First Amendment to say, "Hey, I don't like the war. Why are we drafting people in the war?" And Woodrow Wilson was like, "You're a disgrace to our country. Go to jail." You know, Warren Harding, the next president, ended up releasing him. But Espionage Act, that's terrible, and just a terrible president. Next up is Warren Harding, probably the worst president in American history. And the main reason why is, well, the scandals, cheated on his wife, but again, John F. Kennedy to do it, so I'm not gonna hold that up against him. He did illegal stuff like sneak alcohol and party, which it was a hypocrite. But again, I put him the benefit of the doubt because Thomas Jefferson was a hypocrite on slaves. But the main reason why is because he hated this country. He didn't want to be president. The number one job, in my opinion, as president is you at least gotta love being president. Most of you gotta love this country. And he hated this country. He didn't care for this country. He hated it. He was like, I just want to leave the White House. I hate this country. And the other person who wanted to leave the White House was James Buchanan, but look, F tier. Next president is Calvin Coolidge. I put him at A. An amazing president, absolutely amazing president, but I'm not putting him at S. He was part of the War in 20s. He was extremely popular. He was probably going to get reelected if he ran for a third term. Well, second term, because he didn't get elected until 1924 because of Warren Harding's death. But, a part of the Great Depression kind of has to do with Calvin Coolidge. He was teeny bit responsible for Calvin Coolidge for the Great Depression, so I'm not going to put him at S, but again, an amazing president, was really humbled and stuff like that, and yeah, he didn't intervene in anything, just overall a really good president. He said his biggest accomplishment in president was minding his own business, and that's a good president. Next up is Herbert Hoover. Now, most people put him at D or F. I put him at C. I actually like Herbert Hoover. What he did in the Department of Commerce was absolutely amazing. He's one of the reasons why we have the stoplights in America. He was really helpful. Helpful in World War One. But as president, though, I don't feel like he was the only reason why the Great Depression happened. You could say he made it worse, but again, our next president lived longer with the Great Depression. The only reason why the Great Depression stopped was because of World War II. But he gets hated too. He gets so much hate. I think the main reason why the Great Depression happened was it was teeny bit of Calvin Coolidge, half of Herbert Hoover, and the other half was just because rich people or people in general were spending way too much. And the national banks just oh, it just plopped. So yeah, but of course, since he was president and the leader of the country, he was a scapegoat, and then he ended up getting destroyed when running for re-election. Next one, this is going to be the most controversial opinion. This is going to be a controversial opinion. Franklin D. Roosevelt's in C, in my opinion. I mean, well, first of all, he did not stop the Great Depression. I mean, one of the reasons why you had stop the Great Depression was because World War II, and we had really good governors and senators in the U.S. like New Mexico, Wisconsin. I mean, all over the world, we were seeing really good governors and senators. So then, Franklin D was a little bit lucky. I mean, but his World War II, it was awful. It was awful. I mean, they didn't want to. He didn't want to help. Like, he could care less if Britain got bombed by Germany. He could care less if our allies are getting destroyed by the other team. He could care less. But he was like, "Oh shoot, I could care less. Oh, but my country though. Oh, this country though is getting messed up. Okay, now I'm gonna declare war." But yeah, it wasn't good leadership in World War II, and he didn't stop the Great Depression. But I will admit, though, he did have more ideas than Herbert Hoover, so I do think he's a better president than Herbert Hoover. I say he's the best president in this C tier. But yeah, I mean, he was an alright president in my opinion. Overrated, but I could see why, because he was the president when the Great Depression stopped, so it was like it was like Herbert Hoover. Herbert Hoover was president at the wrong time because he was during the Great Depression, so people blame it on him. And he was president, and Franklin D. Roosevelt was president when the Depression stopped, so he gets the credit. The next president after Franklin D. Roosevelt died in 1945 was Harry S. Truman. I love Harry S. Truman. I mean, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I feel like it was completely justified. It was a little bit shady because innocent civilians did die, and that does suck. But Japanese, Harry S. Truman was like, come on. All of your teammates, Germany, Hitler killed himself, they all surrendered. Please, Japanese, please surrender, and everything is going to be okay. And then And the Japanese was like, no, and we might bomb you, and we might go to war on you. And Harry S. Truman was like, no, you're not. Bang, bombing. And the Japanese was like, okay, never mind, we surrender. So, and that's pretty brave of him to do that. He was unpopular. But I like him. The economy was good. Everything was good. He might have been a little bit racist, but I don't see no indication of him being racist. But yeah, overall, a really good president. Really good president. Really good courage. Economy was doing well. Yeah. Next up is Dwight D. Eisenhower. No, whoa, oh no. S tier. An absolutely amazing president. Now a lot of people say he didn't have a political party, but he was he was more Republican than Democrat. But yeah, he kind of didn't have a political party, which was cool and all. But the Brown v. Board of Education, the fact of the matter is that the Supreme Court, they didn't want to rush it, which was smart by them, but the leader of the Supreme Court, they were like, ooh, we don't know who to decide on. We might decide on the Board of Education. And then Dwight D. Eisenhower was like, and then one of them died, and Dwight D. Eisenhower was like, oh, Warren, here you go. And Warren was an absolutely amazing Supreme Court justice. Warren was like, come on, guys, let's side with the Browns. Because this is terrible that segregation is still going on. This isn't the Civil War. And so then on a 9-0, they sided with Brown on the Board of Education. So, but also, he didn't do anything wrong. Like, I don't even call any of him doing anything wrong. The Cold War did, the Cold War was a little bit going up risky, was going up tremendously. Um, but yeah, just an absolutely amazing president. Cared about the people. Economy was going well. I mean, we weren't involved in any world affairs, So, well, except the Cold War. So sorry, I lied. But yeah, he hated them commies. I mean, he fought them in World War II. So yeah, and I hate communists. So hey, next up is John F. Kennedy. I'll put him at A. You know, that's a little controversial. Oh no! Oh God, no! Oh God, no! Anyways, I put John F. Kennedy at A. I'm not sure if it's showing John F. Kennedy at A, but I put him at A. John Kennedy was an amazing president. He did admit that when he messed up, he did admit that when he messed up, he was a really good leader in the Cuban Missile Crisis. But again, he didn't serve that many times, but he would have easily been reelected. I mean, he would have been easily reelected because his vice president, Lyndon B. Johnson, ended up destroying Barry Goldwater. And, just an amazing president. I mean, I didn't like the cheating, but same time, I don't care about character as much. But yeah, I don't see him being as good as these presidents, but an amazing president. And next up is Lyndon B. Johnson. I'm putting him at D. Again, my computer's messing up, so I'm gonna say the letter grade. I'm gonna say the letter grade in the comment section, because my computer's just lagging. Like, I can't move it up. Like, I have no idea if John F. Kennedy is an A tier or not. It's showing, for me, it's showing on F tier, which, hell no. He's an A tier president in my opinion. Lyndon B. Johnson, D tier. I mean, Lyndon B. Johnson's first term was actually pretty good. I mean, it was alright. Civic rights, amazing. Signed the Civil Rights Deal in 1964, I think. Civil Rights Act, amazing deal. But Vietnam, bro, he was the main reason why Vietnam was just escalating. It was just terrible. I mean, he just kept on adding and adding more people and drafting more people, and he knew it wasn't a war that they were gonna win, but yet he kept on just going there. I mean, it was a popular slogan saying, "Hello, LBJ, how many kids are you gonna kill today?" And yeah, he knew the Vietnam War was gonna suck, and yet he kept on adding and adding more people. So Lyndon B. Johnson's D tier. Next up is Richard Nixon. Now, Richard Nixon's reputation is that he was mean, egotistical, and Watergate, which is actually pretty fair. But I say he's a C. I think Richard Nixon was a good president. It's just his ego. His ego was terrible. I mean, he killed more of his ego than the American people, which that is not good. I mean, Watergate. I don't see why. I don't see why you have a Watergate. Like, what's the point of Watergate when most people already knew that he was going to destroy George McGovern, and he ended up doing it. So he wasn't really smart in Watergate because he was already going to win. But yeah, I mean, a solid president. So Gerald Ford, C. I mean, he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything good, but he didn't do anything bad at all. My Michigander, I love Michigan. It's where I was born and from. When I go to college, so I respect him, and he did play for my favorite college team, so I'm a little bit biased towards him. But again, C. I mean, stagflation, but you really can't blame him because again, stagflation on Nixon. But yeah, he would have probably won. He would have probably won the election in 1976 if he didn't pardon Nixon. I mean, he was just a nice guy. He got it well with everyone. Gerald Ford is probably the nicest president in U.S. history, in my opinion. If you walked up to him, you would be like, "Oh my God, this guy's really nice." Unlike Nixon and most presidents before him, So next up is Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter is a terrible president. F tier, F tier president. Um, the stagflation, which I'm not gonna, which it part of it was his fault. He didn't cause it, but he is just dragged on. The Iranian hostile crisis was terrible. We didn't have any gas or oil. Terrible. Overall, just a terrible president. I know he exactly wasn't in the best situation with stagflation going on because we just got done with Vietnam, but just awful. Just an awful president. Next up is Ronald Reagan. S tier. Love Ronald Reagan. I mean, Ronald Reagan isn't exactly, it's either S or A, high A or low S. I didn't like how, he was involved with scandals like selling cocaine to Iran in weapons for hostages. I mean, but the economy was going good. It wasn't in his presidency, it was going good, but he was part of the reason why the economy was doing bad when the next president came around, also his vice president. Um, yeah, just an amazing president, very popular. I mean, he had the largest margin of victory in U.S. history against Walter Mondale in 1984, where Walter Mondale only won Minnesota and Washington D.C. So very, very popular. Economy was going good. Everyone loved him. A really nice guy. Hated commies. And got along really well with foreign leaders, probably because he was a really nice guy and he had a lot of jokes all the time. Yeah, a really good president. Next up, it's George H.W. Bush. I put him at B. Again, I have no idea. My computer's lagging. My computer's just straight up lagging, so I have no idea where I'm putting these presidents. I'll write in the comment section where I put these presidents. He wasn't as good as Ronald Reagan. Again, a dollar store Ronald Reagan is a good president. He was more moderate than Ronald Reagan. Reagan was just diehard conservative. He was a radical conservative, just like me, so that's cool. And George H.W. Bush was a little bit more moderate. The Bushes were just moderates, in my opinion. Um, you know, economy wasn't doing too well. And part of that does have to do with Reagan, but again, he wasn't nearly as good as Reagan, but still, a good president. I mean, Bill Clinton, D. Bill Clinton's a D tier president. Okay. It's coming back for me. Alright, it's coming back to me. So everyone I put there, Nixon, Lyndon B. Alright, Jimmy Carter. Alright, so this is the tier list so far. Oh, sorry. This is the tier list so far. Yeah, so who was... Oh yeah, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton's a D. Marked by scandals, just absolutely full of scandals. I mean, getting his brother, who was a sexual offender, out of jail. Then you had Travelgate, Monica Lewinsky cheating on his wife, but again, give him the benefit of the doubt because Hillary Clinton. I mean, his wife was Hillary Clinton, who wouldn't cheat on her? I'm kidding, but yeah, just scandal. Just not. He was impeached because he lied. He was a liar. He was probably a sexual offender, but not every allegation is true. Most of them probably aren't. But yeah, just the scandals and stuff was just awful. I mean, his economy was good, but just terrible. Just not a good president, in my opinion. The scandals. Oh yeah, Ronald Reagan. That is. Alright. Next up is George W. Bush. Oh god, no. George H.W. Bush is going at D. Oh my god. It's lagging, bro. It's lagging. George H.W. Bush is a D too. Okay. Where's Chester B. Arthur? No, he's not an A tier, not at all. Alright, so George H.W. Bush, the recession, 2008 recession was terrible. He was a terrible president. That's why we got Obama, because, no one trusts Republicans during that time. For good reason. He was a moderate, so I thought he was a Democrat, to be honest. He had so many Democratic views. He showed okay leadership in the 9/11. I don't see why you go to war with Afghanistan. I could see why, but to put the troops there, it's just terrible. Afghanistan, we should not be in war with them right now. The part of the reasons why the Afghanistan is dragging on is because they're doing what we did to the British, and that's keep on running and running and running, and just tiring us out. And we're still in war with them, a 20-year war. Just not good. Dick Cheney wasn't a good president. Yeah, and I said president because he was not a vice president. It was a two-way presidency. Just not a good president at all. Just the Hurricane Katrina, I heard that he tried to help, but the Louisiana governor did not want him in the state because he or she must have been a Republican. But yeah, the Hurricane Katrina, he still could have helped quicker, though. But yeah, that was the final two presidents. And this is where my political beliefs are really going to show. Barack Obama, F. Barack Obama is a terrible president. I feel safer in today's America with all these protests and Corona going on than I did in Barack Obama's America. I was younger, but if I was an adult back then, I probably felt safer today's America than I did in Barack Obama's America. And part of that is his foreign policy was so bad. He's the worst president in U.S. history when it comes to foreign policy. John Kerry is awful Secretary of State. Hillary Clinton was an awful Secretary of State. He did get us out of the 2008 recession, but the DOW was down. The Rust Belt hated him. He didn't add any jobs to the Rust Belt, and that's part of the reason why Donald Trump won those Rust Belts. The Rust Belt is because, just Barack Obama was terrible at getting jobs. The BLM is, the main reason why BLM is so popular today is because of Barack Obama. Barack Obama hated this country. He hated cops. He was a terrible president. His foreign affairs. He founded ISIS in a way. He didn't found ISIS, but he armed America. He armed the Middle East with Iraq with weapons of destruction. He paid $1 billion for the Middle East or Syria, whatever Middle East, to not build a bomb. And they ended up building a bomb. Yeah, just not a good president. Now, Donald Trump. Now, I don't know if I should rank him or I should not. Because Donald Trump is either not going to be president in 2021 or 2025, or who knows, he's getting up there in age. So it might be, hopefully not. Hopefully not. If he gets reelected, hopefully not during his presidency, because I don't want anyone to die. I'd rather have a president leave office because he or she did not get reelected, or because they already served their terms, than to die or resign. Donald Trump's an S-tier president. I love Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump's an amazing president. I don't get why people hate him so much. Now, he could have had COVID, so he might be an A president, but I put him at S. He could have handled Corona a little bit better, but again, Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to have a stimulus package. Donald Trump tries to help with all these BLM rioting and looting, but guess what? These Democratic people don't want them to help. And it's just disgraceful how he's trying to help, but these Democratic leaders just don't want him to, and it's just bad. The economy was doing amazing before Corona. It's actually been better than most experts thought, so that's good. The Corona, he's developing a vaccine faster than in history. But he could have handled Corona better. I do feel like that. I don't think he's going to lose the election. The media polls are fake. The media polls are always fake. Okay, they thought Hillary was going to win in a landslide. Nope. They thought John Kerry was going to win against George W. Bush. Nope. So, the media just lies and lies. But yeah, I think Donald Trump's an amazing president. If he does get reelected, then I might have to change my mind. I don't know if he should be ranked because again, he hasn't ended his presidency, but so far he's an S tier president. Love what he's doing. He might be an A tier president because of Corona, but I love what he's been doing, and yeah. So of course, but I'm a little bit biased because I'm a Republican and conservative, so I absolutely love Trump and also adore him. But yeah, of course, someone's gonna disagree with that. Of course, someone's gonna disagree with this list. Please be civil. I respect your opinions. If you say Barack Obama's a good president, I disagree with you, but of course, I gotta respect your opinion because, of course, First Amendment, and we can have a talk about it. Of course, yeah, this might be pandered with dislikes because your favorite president or you just disagree. And let's hope not. Let's hope not because I do know that Democrats are gonna say Barack Obama's B tier or A tier and say Donald Trump is F tier. And I do admit I'm biased. I'm biased. I'm a Republican, so I do admit I'm biased. I'm not gonna be like CNN or media outlets and say I'm objective when I'm not. I know I'm biased, and you can tell because I mean you can tell because no, well, Grover Cleveland is B tier. So yeah, my final list is this. Yeah, I agree with this B tier. I'm happy with this B tier. Yeah, yeah. I might put Ronald Reagan down, but but for now, but for now, this is the list. This is the list. And anyways, guys, yeah, I might have to put Ronald Reagan a bit down just because of the scandals. But yeah, anyways, guys, hope you liked this video. Hope you liked this video. Anyways, guys, I love you.